Alrighty, and we're back with our 2 cents. On this episode here, we're going to be covering Are We Living in a Simulation? This is Michael, your host, with Mark, John, and Cody. We're going to go ahead and start off with Mark.
Hey guys, welcome to our 2 cents. So I'd like to start off this podcast today, starting with this quote. If we are all living in a simulation, then the cosmos that we are observing is just a tiny piece of totality of physical existence. While the world we see is in some sense real, it is not located at the fundamental level of reality. It's by Nick Bostrom. So I'd like to ask you guys, what do you think about that quote? What comes to your mind?
If we're living in a simulation, then the cosmos that we are observing is the tiny piece of totality. Like, what is that word? What is that? Is it like saying it's all there? It's all totally reality, or what is that stating right there in that one word?
Let's find out here. Let's see what the definition of that is to give you a better understanding.
Okay, and then since real, so it's pretty much just saying.
So it's the whole of something is the definition of it. The moment or duration of a total obstruction of the sun or the moon during an eclipse is also a definition of it. I don't know how. It's pretty much as a whole. It's saying, I guess it's saying, like a tiny piece of the whole, like the whole physical existence, pretty much. Everything as a whole, if that makes sense.
So it's questioning reality in
right.
The end. So is reality real? Is what we consider reality real? How would I put it? Like, I would state that some of it, I would question it myself, saying I feel like some of our life is this stimulation, but then I feel like sometimes we're also making our own shots.
Right.
But
well,
is
think
it
about
also
this.
Yeah.
You know, you can always remember, like, this is where it's really hard to think about the simulation part, because 5 senses: taste, smell, touch, hearing, and sight.
Well, you know how we also have more than just 5 senses.
Right.
We have, there's so much more, and also, is it possible that we're dreaming right now and all this is false? Everything that we actually are doing is false.
And this is kind of like,
how do you feel about that?
Yeah, and this is kind of like where they come back to saying how there's no real way to test, if we're in a simulation or not in a simulation. But I mean, think about it. All those times where I'm sure you guys have had, it's like deja vu. They say it's like where you've already had something happen when you're sleeping, and it's like in the next day, whatever, that same thing you dreamed of happens. I mean, how do you explain that? Is that like almost like a bootload into the reality here? Like, in our sleep stasis, we're actually going ahead. It's like, is everything on a set loop line to where you really can't change too much of the future? It's all already pre-made, and you get like a small insight of what's happening.
What? I mean, do you think we're living like inside of an ultra high-tech computer?
Well, Q, I get a time twister for you. Imagine that we are a creation of somebody else's dream, and the reality kind of breaks 4 different walls within the spectrum.
So we're in the reality of somebody else's dream.
Yeah, so we're living someone else's reality.
So it's almost like the Matrix. Like, you're able to do the impossible technically.
Just without jumping through a computer and having numbers right in your face.
Don't you think it's creepy that he sounds like a robot right now?
I think maybe he might have broke through the 4th wall to get into this podcast.
Pretty crazy.
Hello, human. Welcome to the second Odyssey.
Well, there are some pretty famous people that do talk about it, like Elon Musk. Discussed that.
Mm-hmm.
We believe that 50% of the existence is a simulation.
Yeah, he said he believes we're probably characters in an advanced video game, like you're saying.
Yeah, then just think about, like how you said, the cosmos are actually characters, and in some giant computer, we are not necessarily, and we don't really know it. But the idea that the universe is a simulation sounds more like a plot twist of the Matrix. And it.
No, go ahead. You're good.
No, you're good.
Oh, well, to add on to that, though, is, all these video game simulations, all this, and the Matrix. Okay, so going to video games for just a quick second, Grand Theft Auto 5 is pretty much the same type of deal. You get a character, and you control him through a world. I mean, it's kind of the same concept, I guess, which is kind of scary because you're already playing a game like that. But what if you're a game inside of a game? And that's what scares me the most.
No, and then one thing Michael had mentioned too, in one of our conversations, is that sometimes when we're talking or we're doing something, we draw a quick blank. it's almost like if we had like say a lag in a video game, but it's a lag in our life. So if like you go to the bedroom and you went to go find something, you cannot remember what the heck you were going to try to find, and then you don't remember what it was at all later on in the day. And sometimes people remember, they'll go back and grab it, but it's like almost like you had like a little glitch in your own game.
So like bad internet.
Yeah, bad internet. Yeah,
Or in this case, dial-up.
there you go, the dial-up for human beings.
Man, so what if our brains are just servers that connect to the computer?
That could be, yeah. I mean, because look what they're doing with the VR setups and everything now. A lot of stuff, man, that'd be insane to think of it like that. That our brain is connected to the computer through the server like that.
Michael, I mean,
really, we actually volunteered to go into this system and test out this virtual reality world, and not realizing that we've been immersed in it for all this time.
You know what's crazy is there's actually, a famous scientist who worked on this theory, and Albert Einstein is actually one of them, believe it or not, who worked on the simulation of theory.
I know one thing that I was reading on was saying that we really wouldn't understand how a simulation world could be happening until we finally advance far enough to where our virtual reality, simulations are so close to what is reality to where it becomes negligible, to like saying, is it real or is it not real, to where we're really at like a standstill with our own reality.
Yeah, that's crazy. It makes you think, Michael.
Well, see. No, now some people do believe that we're not living in a simulation, though. Everybody's talking about how it's like we are our own reality, we are our own thing. Nobody is pulling strings. We're not into anybody else's, like, hardware, computer going.
And two, they're also saying like the natural history is proven to reality, because they're saying our history proves who we are. So a lot of people, like you said, don't believe in the simulation, and then we believe in our reality from our history. So they're trying to put facts to prove that, which by all means, I'm not, stopping them from doing that, but it still has to leave that open, like 1%, like, hey, this isn't real.
No, and that's, I think what the cool thing about some people is that they are open to debating that. But, science versus other facts of other people. I don't know where everybody gets theirs, but science goes and breaks down every little thing it possibly can, and then comes up with the theory of what it is, and then determines it at that point in time.
Well, see, I'll go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, there's been many different theories. There's been many different hypotheses testing in the fields, but people really don't know which is reality, and which is dream, or another way to put it is what is a hallucination.
Yeah.
Because your eyes can play tricks on you, your mind can play tricks on you, and yet your body can now play tricks on you.
Right. Now, Cody, you can answer this for me. When you're in a dream, to know that it's not a dream is you're able to count 1 to 10, but in a dream you cannot. And also in a dream you cannot read. Now, have you ever had any troubles with that, or because how would you put it? When we go to bed at night, we dream. Have you ever had a problem reading in your own dream or counting your fingers to 10?
Not really.
Wait, is that like really a thing? You're saying that honestly that in a dream? I don't know. I don't think I've ever really tried that before. But you're saying you can't count or read inside of a dream?
Apparently you can't count to 10. You can't count your fingers. To 10.
I think where John's going is lucid dreaming. Okay, where you're controlling your dream and you're actually in the dream. So at that point, you're fully fledged into that dream. I've actually experienced lucid dreaming myself.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty crazy. But like what he's saying is you can't count, you can't read. You're too much focusing on where you're at, what's going on. It feels real. So the whole simulation thing is like, okay, is my brain the one creating the simulation I'm in, or is reality what my brain's in? I mean, if that makes sense. Like, am I really in this reality, or am I actually just inside my brain?
Well, another theoretical test is using VR. That's like you're jumping into a virtual world, which is dreamed up by another art and craft and creator, and all these programs that simulate to a roller coaster ride, to a haunted movie, to your favorite video game. But you're jumping into that type of space, and you lose touch with your reality, which as you walk around and you do what is told, by your superior.
Right. Well, here I got a really big mind blown for you guys. Just think, okay, right, the coronavirus. Okay, so if we're in a simulation, we're a computer. The coronavirus is a virus that got into the system, and the people that are dying for the coronavirus are getting infected are bugs in the system. Like, could you imagine that? Like, people are just bugs, so the virus is attacking those bugs and finding flaws.
I mean, it's kind of strange because you see, like, the people that it seems to be affecting is the older people, so it's like eliminating, the people who are close to the end anyway.
Right. So
you're talking about getting the virus, like, let's say viruses out. So, I mean, what we call population control is technically cleaning your computer, getting rid of the junk mail.
Like someone's wiping the hard drive, bro.
That would really mess up your mind.
But that's what I'm saying. Now, let's say, like Cody was saying, that you got people, what isn't real with your VR. But if you go back to the virus aspect, okay, so let's say there's a bug, there's a glitch, there's little glitches, and the computer doesn't like that, so it sends out a virus to attack that. Or let's say a little mouse pointer goes there and deletes it, and then that's when those 68-year-old died in Volusia County.
That's insane. Now think of this too, though, because people were talking about simulations in the world where randomly things would freeze. I mean, there's videos out there where like a bird is just sitting there, like frozen in the air, and somebody was talking about like being like glitched out. And you're just staying in one spot. And then people are also talking about how this world dropped, like, let's say The Simpsons drop hints all the time in the world of things that are going to happen. People can say technically it's time travel, but then they can also say, hey, they knew what the reality really is, and they're letting us know by little snippets. Because even South Park determined, if I'm not mistaken, Kobe Bryant's death. They had an episode with him in the helicopter dead with his trophy near him.
Dude, and then what happens? It's been a glitch in the system.
Yep, and I'm like, it's insane because they let you know before it even happens.
So it's just like a game, right? You run through the same level. It's supposed to work the same every time.
Yep.
But so if he's flying the helicopter through the same area every time, but he didn't account for one thing, and that glitch happened, and then boom, dead.
And that is very possible. So that's it's insane along that aspect of thinking of that way. That there's really can be a glitch, and really something bad can happen when a glitch happens.
Yeah.
So that therefore it would really suck.
So going back to that, Michael, with everything we're talking about, I mean, okay, where some of us are believers of God, some of us aren't, but do you feel like a higher power then is controlling us, Michael?
I really wouldn't. I mean, I'm not really one for religious views. I mean, that'd be more of on John's aspect. I think he's the only Christian here on the table.
Well, he's not talking about just Christian. He's saying higher power.
Oh, okay, higher power.
Not just Christianity.
Okay, I mean, there's if we're a simulation, then of course, yes, then there's definitely a higher power then that has created the simulation that runs it and controls us all. Behind the scenes, that who's to say we really have free will, or that what we do and what we say is really just a computer program.
So like you're talking earlier, Michael. So would you consider Rick, like in Rick and Morty, the higher power in that situation?
Of course, it's Rick. Rick all the time.
Shut up, Morty.
It's kind of like the episode where it's the box inside the box inside the box. So he was the higher power. He was the one who created the box. But then again, how do we know he really is the higher power? How do we know he's not just inside the box that another Rick created? You know what I mean? Like,
he's ultimate. He's the ultimate power. Obviously, it's Rick.
Okay.
But too, it's also like when Futurama made that same episode.
Okay. Yeah. How did Futurama? I don't know if I recall seeing that episode. How was that one done?
It was where the scientists created a box containing their own universe, but in a different reality, the opposite version of him created a box claiming to their universe.
So it's a series of parallel. Okay, so like a series of parallel universes.
Yeah, 1 and 3, 2 and 4.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So obviously people think we're in a simulation if we're making shows showing that.
Yeah.
So there's definitely this point of views being brought across the table to talk about.
And it's kind of like what you said, the little drop hints of like how, so it's like in society we continuously keep doing the drop hints.
But
well, it makes me... Oh, no, go ahead, John. You're good.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is like people, like how you were just saying, Michael, drop hints. Like all the time, they're being released. A lot of things are being done to cover up other things. Like we all, Ebola, whatever. All that was done to make a big ordeal to take away from what's really happening in the background, and the next show something epic happens in this world. Now, one thing I want to read off to you guys is called idealism. Perhaps we think it is the material world in which is independent of the observer. It really dependent on the human mind after all, or some cosmic mind. Perhaps the most fundamental thing is reality mind. There is no matter.
Oh wow.
So it's like
deep.
it's weird to make your mind think of all that kind of stuff, because in reality we cannot really comprehend what may actually be going on, but we have theories and some small tests that may, predict what can happen. But in reality, once we get close enough, we're probably wiped out of existence anyways.
Yeah. Well, saying that though, so you think the kids in school are being taught information to prevent them from thinking that we're in a simulation than a reality?
I feel more so now the kids are going to get taught a heck of a lot more different than us, and it might be to where they'll be more prone to learning about the simulation theories.
You think they're trying to learn? Like, you think they're trying to push that, or do you think they're trying to make it to where, like, hey, we're in this reality, deal with it, and this is what you need to learn, and this is how you're going to act?
I would say
Do you think they're trying to make a uniform system?
Yeah, because a lot of people have actually been talking about going to a set program, a set time for every single little thing, and then it'll say technically schools are wearing uniforms again now. I mean, I haven't heard about uniforms in 10 years until recently. Yeah, so it's coming back.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, well, I mean, it saves parents money in the long run, but otherwise, it doesn't save anybody else. It just shows that simulation's real, uniformity.
Yeah.
Think about like Nazis and stuff, dude. Like freaking perfect lines of soldiers.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, some things that you watch on YouTube and the internet in general, the things that you get pictures of, a lot of stuff doesn't make sense on how things move so perfectly either. Because humans make errors constantly.
Have you ever heard of the movie Adjustment Bureau by any chance?
Adjustment. That sounds familiar. I'll look it up.
It's okay. It's like where these group of secret people control the fate of everybody's life. So, like, at a certain time, you're supposed to meet that certain person. You're supposed to spill your coffee at a certain time. You're supposed to drink that water at a certain time.
Okay.
Like, someone's controlling that. And then you got chance, which is they weren't expecting that to happen. There's no control over that. So there's a chance that you might, throw the coffee onto somebody else or just keep holding it and trip over the sidewalk and be fine.
Okay, I have heard of this. It's Matt Damon's movie. I have heard of it, yes. And that's actually right. Like, let's say today, right now, I got stuck in traffic about 30 minutes and stuff like that right down the road from the house. But it's like something was meant to stop me from driving that much further, because you never know. That could have been me in the car accident. That could have been, me going to the hospital right now and stuff like that, not doing this podcast with you guys.
Right.
And everything. Like, things happen for a reason. And I do really feel that part.
Wow. I mean, that's deep, but Michael, I mean, how do you going back to the dreaming thing? I'm really interested in going into that subject. Michael, can you offer any insight on your opinion on the dreaming?
I mean, yeah, that's like one of those interesting things of like how, I've had this happen numerous times, and I think I've talked before with John, and we both kind of had these kinds of things where, you had these dreams, and it's like, next day or so, or a couple hours later, all of a sudden, like, you almost sometimes you forget that you even had these dreams. You're just like somewhere's out there, doing something. Next thing you know, you just have this moment that just kind of rushes over, where all of a sudden, like in your mind's eye, you've already seen, the next 10 minutes how it all took place, and it's like you feel like, do you have a chance to change it, the outcome? And it's like sometimes though you try to, but sometimes you don't always change the outcome. It's like I said before, almost like if everything was already set in stone. I mean, you try your best to change it, but it's like sometimes no matter how hard you change something, everything kind of teeters around and still happens with the end result that was going to happen regardless of the fact.
Or like deja vu?
Yeah, kind of like a deja vu type thing.
Oh.
But we're going to go ahead though real quick and take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this. All right, and we're back with our 2 cents. Okay, you go ahead, John.
Hey, Cody. So quick question. Is there any instances that you've had that maybe some type of simulation has happened in your lifetime?
Around 2017, when I went outside questioning about religious beliefs and if there is such a thing called God, I yelled up in the sky. I said, if there's a God up there, show me your existence. And in parts of the clouds, I didn't know if I was hallucinating, if I was seeing things, but I saw eyes blinking back at me.
Oh, wow.
And then I thought to myself, you know what? I bet this world is fake and it's an illusion, and I'm trapped in somebody else's imagination. That's what I thought for a moment.
Okay, now stating that you had said, "Hey, show me your existence on a god." So now this, I'll bring it to that part. Is something looked back and, or actually technically looked down at you and was blinking? Was that not proof enough for you?
I think I was kind of hoping for something a little more like maybe the sky shattering apart like glass, or the ground itself re-changing into a different type of phase.
Well,
Okay.
let me ask you something though. I'm a little off kilter here with that experience, only because like you said, blinking. So what was blinking at you? Was it stars that were blinking constantly, or was it something that? What, like, can you describe more of your experience with that? Because I'm just trying to get a picture in my head of what would be blinking. Like, is it two eyes looking at you? Do all the stars come together in the sky and look at you? Or, you know, I'm just trying to think of what possibly could have.
Yeah, what exactly
really got your
is
attention.
looking like it. Yeah.
All right, imagine the storm is coming through and it's about to rain. Well, into those clouds, a shadow-like figure that looks almost like eyes, with the pupil, with the retinas, with everything that you can see like your very own eyes, but they're in the color of a shadow. They blink twice and then they vanish into thin air.
So you're saying like the clouds developed the look of the face?
It didn't develop a face, it just developed
Build
the
eyes.
shape of an eye.
The eyes, yeah.
So the clouds develop shapes of an eye, right? And then once the eyes disappeared, which would be the clouds disappearing, it was all gone.
Yeah.
But could you think it's just natural weather phenomenon though? Not so much a sign?
Not really.
So think of it this way, though. This guy Cody asked for a sign on something, and almost immediately, or even if it was 5 minutes later, something's looking back at him, blinking. But even if it's just two eyes, one eye, something's blinking back at him as a sign. Now, in my perspective, it's you challenge a god. Usually, you're gonna get like let's say just his garment. You're just gonna get the minimum of what he can even like begin to start doing. And he's giving you a sign. He's giving you some type of hope, but yet you still question him. Now, when would you be satisfied on realizing there's something more out there?
Like if you can, like, okay, like Interstellar, bro. Like if you stick your hand into the alternate reality and you can see through, like that would be proof. Like take a bookcase and look through it and see into another reality.
Okay. Now, what about you, Cody?
I guess the best way I can think of it is if you could open space itself, and intertwine into different realities and different phases of time in order to see every step from the past to the future, that would kind of open my eyes a little bit more on the four-dimensional world in which we live in.
Okay. So you just talked about some superhero abilities to start to begin to open your eyes.
Right.
At that point in time, man, I'm probably on my knees crying and thankfulness that you allowed me to have everything like, you know, what I just like the seeing into dimensions, futures and past, things like that, man. Because like if I had the ability to look into the future and the ability to look back in the past to relive something that I, you know, once already did, I would be very thankful. Now I wouldn't be like, you know, I'll just like, you know, God or whatever is up there, thank you, thank you, thank you. I wouldn't be testing at that point because I already got more than enough. Because like I had this discussion with Mark and everybody not too long ago. When is enough enough? Like how much do they have to show you before before it's enough? Because sometimes you can get everything taken away from you because you're requesting too much. Go ahead.
So going into those, you know, us experiencing this, you know, experiencing simulation, experiencing the dimensions, we already build in multiple dimensions as it is, right? We got the roads, we got high overpasses, we got, you know, we just keep going up and up, right? And it's each dimension. So we're already automatically in dimensions, right? We're already playing around in that territory. But here's the craziest thing, right? Drugs. Okay, that's a big topic these days. People are doing them. But I feel like the people are getting hallucinogenics because it's giving you that new view into something you haven't seen before. I think that's why they're coming out and about now. Because there's something that we're using.
So you're saying that from them taking the drugs that they're believing that we're living in a simulation because of the way that things change, or they're thinking that the drugs actually open their eyes up pretty much to see the real reality, is what you're saying?
It's pretty much like someone hacking into your server, like your brain, and letting you see into the inner workings. It's giving you that small little glimpse, like acid. You're tripping,
Question for you guys. Have you guys heard and everything that you technically are only using 10% of your brain throughout your life?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So people who've done drugs state that they can see so much more. Personal experience, not like me, but hearing people say, I'm sorry, not me actually taking drugs or nothing like that. I do not do that.
Drugs are bad, kids.
Yes, do not do drugs. But people I've known have taken some type of drug, and they actually say that they've seen so much more out there in the world. That's why they continue to do it. It's not because they feel so super good about the drug itself. It's because what reality can be shown in their eyes at that point in time of them being high is what I've been told.
They're experiencing another reality, is what you're saying?
They're experiencing more of the world.
Haven't you ever heard of the actual test they've done with this, to where it's sleep deprivation, they call it? It's pretty much a whole bunch of salt in the water to where it's enough to where it causes you to float, because a high density salt water tub, and it's all pitch black inside, and they give you a drug, which is pretty much LSD that they give you, and and you lay back there and you relax and you pretty much float on the water. And there's been all kinds of experiments that they've done throughout history to where people pretty much where it unlocks their mind, to where they claim they have like an outer body experience. And there's actually been tests to where they are able to actually, when they woke them back up, new things and seen things that haven't happened yet, that was about to happen in different locations, or actually were able to see things, like they're able to unlock the full potential of their mind, which kind of comes back to, are we really, is it a simulation? I mean, if you can hack your own body to release to where you can actually find information out and see different places without actually being there, doesn't that mean that it's not real?
That is a mind-blown thing you just went over. Okay.
Well, I mean, then again, the government's been loading people with LSD for a long time now, so I mean, there's bound to be some kind of things happening.
I'd like to bring up something.
Go ahead.
Around World War II, when Hitler was trying to experiment new ways to win the war, one of the things he did is he went to China and talked with the Buddhists, and he wanted to talk with the older elders, because something about past lives, where they saw whatever war was won, and he kept asking questions to them, which war was won the most, and they would look back from the 14th dynasty, China versus Asia, stuff like that. And he kind of used that to his advantage, but he still didn't follow all the guidelines that they told him about the history. Oh,
now you talk about past lives. Is that kind of say? I'm not going to go too deep into it, but people who believe in ghosts and things like that, there's people who can read other people's auras and state that they had a certain amount of past lives before this one. Is that kind of what you're talking about? Is like past lives in that tense, or something different?
It's more like reincarnation. If you die and you don't go to heaven or hell, you are thus reincarnated as another man or another woman, and pretty much you're redoing something else in that next life, but you still have memories of who you once were.
Right,
okay,
and that's
so let's go ahead and put this into a whole nother twist then. All right, so say the body is almost like a floppy disk, right? And say, what if there's only so many avatars created, so they reutilize avatars from time to time. Okay, so the floppy disk may not be, because how you can erase data, but you sometimes can't always erase all the data, and sometimes bits and pieces can be left over. And is that what they're calling the past life? Is that what even further explains that we are living in a simulation?
So, all right, how do I explain that one? Because you're talking about like the bits and pieces that we kind of remember of something different is what our past life was onto this one.
Yeah, I mean that a lot of people talk about that. My mom talks about it. My parents talk about it a lot.
I've actually had friends in the past, that have had
where they experienced something like, wait, was I here at some point? Do you think that's traveled through your genetics maybe? like through your family line. So maybe you had a family member at some point.
So you're
somewhere.
saying that's not exactly
Well,
your past
mostly
life that
has to
sins
do with
that's real?
bloodlines.
Right. So it's just an informational like way of transferring data, right, through your genetics. So like, let's say you go to a certain place, you're like, wow, I feel like I've been here before. You know, like you ever have that feeling? Like,
I actually have. Yes,
Yeah.
that is. Yep, I do.
It's the craziest feeling in the world, and
it's
you automatically knew what to do.
Yes. That's crazy to think of it that way, because you are right that there are moments in your life where you're like, hey, I've been here before, I know what's about to happen over here. Like Michael said earlier, they're like deja vu. There's certain things in our life that started happening, like, wait, I've been in this moment before.
What do I do?
Yeah, like it's like, oh, I'm gonna try to prevent from doing this to this to this. And Michael's even said something like, I can't remember if he answered the lady, like knew what she was gonna say, or a certain scenario was about to happen. Like, I don't know if it was like a car passing. Like he's like, yeah, that happened, and for some reason I remember that happening, and things like that. So stuff like that.
That's deep, man. But going into that though, what about Nostradamus? He predicted world events, like major world events. So there's been people in the past that have already had like the knowledge to predict things.
I got a good one for you. Leonardo da Vinci. He predicted about flying crafts. He predicted about the first helicopter and several other machines that have already been influenced and created throughout the years.
Don't forget about planes. He
Yeah.
also had a prediction for that too. I mean, then again, just watch some Jetsons.
That's crazy. That show, man, our world was supposed to be more evolved by now.
You would think. I mean, the biggest thing that really jumps out as a simulation mind blower is how do we go from having like no technology, right, to having computers like that, right? And then we automatically jump to nanotechnology within a blink of an eye.
Within the last 10, 15 years.
Someone gave the information. You can't just say, like, we pulled that out of thin air. There's no way we worked our way up to that. Someone told somebody, or someone found out how to get into whatever they're getting into to bring that information to us.
And that's another thing also, is about like how throughout history people will talk about aliens. Now maybe is aliens actually the people who control this world, who come down and manipulate it? I mean, maybe they have to manually manipulate things at some point in time, but you don't really hear too much about it no more. So maybe everything's all automated now, or maybe they got people actually in the government that's just keeping everything controlled now.
Oh yeah, we'll go into John for a second. John, I want to get on a subject with you. Okay, so you read the Bible, correct? I'm assuming you're a follower.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know how much you've really read into it or not, or if you've heard bits and pieces, but the Bible actually talks about higher power, like higher beings visiting, some of our great leaders and some of our, like Jesus, and then you got Moses, you got a lot of major players that were visited from someone higher up. I mean, there's a lot of upcomings and talk about rapture and all this stuff. So it really makes you think: have we been in this situation the entire time since existence?
See, in my thought process is they had it better than we did. Because this world's only been around for so many thousands of years. Because apparently the universe itself is like 13.8 billion years old.
Right,
and
but they're saying it's only thousands. So it could be like instant. Maybe that's why they're talking about thousands. Maybe that's why so many people have an issue with that, because they're saying this computer or whatever's been running has only been around this long.
Yes.
But the internal universe has been around this long. So you're just a little speckle.
Yeah, we're just an upgraded part or an additional part to their game.
Right, we're just that little modular part, or that little piece of RAM that someone slapped in.
Yeah, exactly. We're just something that's added on. But to go to what you're talking about is that the higher power. So you hear about Moses and Jesus coming down to die for us and everything like that. Other people, Cain and Abel, being visited and blessed by a God in a certain way. They were visited, so they were at the core, like the beginning part of everything. And then as so forth, the person's focusing on his better pieces. So whoever is, let's go with Jesus, it had focused more on the beginning task, because he had to run everything at first. Like he said, hey, I got to do this, this, and this, get all this running properly. Then I'm going to get this to go and do this. Because once you start, Michael knows this from a technology point, is once you start getting things in motion, you no longer really have to be there to let things keep running on its own. So I feel like that
a self-sufficient operating system to itself, to where you pretty much just get started, then it pretty much the rest of it runs by bots, pretty much, which we're the bots in this scenario.
Yep.
And
Because
there's
now
even a show like that. There's a show called Westworld.
I have heard of that.
Yeah,
yes,
it's like
that's a
this
very
Western
good show.
town where, like, yeah, it is fantastic. But it's like this show where they create this environment, for people to visit, and it's all controlled by AI and whatnot. But then the AI start realizing they're real.
But pretty much the town is like a futuristic world of this, where it was pretty much created for pleasure, though. People to go there to be able to kill and whatnot without actually hurting any real people. But but the whole thing is the whole town that's there doesn't realize they're artificial, and they become like real whatever, to where it's like the real people. So it's like, who's to say who's the difference, because they physically look the same. So it's like, they're real or not real.
I got to check that out. That would actually be really cool to see something like that.
I mean, it's just like maybe us, we started to be like, hey, wait, I can go to work. Wait, I can stay up all night and I don't have to go to bed. I think that happens at a very young age.
True. Now, Cody, what is your thought process on this? Like, what are you thinking?
Well, there's a lot of things I'm thinking. I did see that movie. That is literally an awesome movie. It's kind of like watching AI Robot.
Yes.
But when I'm trying to think of simulation and thus like rebooting a system or reset, that's like when a person dies. When that RPG player finally dies and you get rebooted again, but you're not the same AI character you created on the server. You're a new AI character, but you still have the last bit of memory that you saved on your file card.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're put into a simulation of the so-called life that you're living now, your job, your destiny, all these other things begin to change, because this higher power is choosing different classes, different guilds, different status for you. Either he wants you to be a warrior, fight for the military. Either he wants you to be a cook, go to a restaurant. Either he wants you to be a fearsome barbarian, mercenary.
Yeah.
There's so many different classes.
So you're saying that everything's set up for a reason? Like everything's set up for each person to go to automatically?
Well, I'm not really saying that everything is set up. More so that everything is thrown into a little hat and it is randomly chosen out.
So you're saying that's chance then? We're relying upon chance. So whatever happens, but there's still a system in place to take care of whatever happens.
That's right. There are the admins, and of course there is the owner of the system and creator of the server and the world.
So you're saying like our powers, like higher powers, as in like, let's say the United Nations, right? They're like the main admins, and then you got the owner controlling them.
Pretty much. It's a pretty reasonable example.
Wow. Okay. That's really crazy. So I guess another thing you can bring up, Mike, is like the Mayans. You and me are really into that, and it's almost like hitting the reset button on them because they disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of civilizations over the time that have disappeared without any trace, but it's like, so what really happened to that? And we don't really know the whole extent of it, but I mean, but more towards simulation stuff, though, I mean, what would Mayans have to do with simulation that you're talking about?
Because I was going off of what Cody was saying, where he's like, they hit the reset button. Okay, well, what if they were getting too far and either too corrupt or too, a certain way, and they're just like, nope, wipe the slate, wipe the hard drive, start a new one somewhere else. It's like you're playing a Minecraft, right? You're building a city in a little square, and you're like, you know what? I don't like this one anymore. It's not going the way I want it, and you start a new world, and you start building something else.
Also, like what Cody said, is that they're reusing pretty much the floppy disk, like I was saying almost before, to where it's like somebody, some outwards out there still has fragments or memories and thoughts, and they're stuck with this, dwelling over the past pretty much with this stuff.
So the fragments would be the buildings from the Mayans, right? Because they're still there. The people aren't, but the buildings are. So that's all that got left on that floppy disk. That's the only bits and pieces that were left. So the structures, all the natural wonders are proven. I feel like are like proven examples of simulation.
Yeah, so I mean, this world probably has been reset then many times to where they wiped it and left clues, pretty much, per se.
That's why God flooded everything, because we had to be resetted.
The flood, it's been proven. Noah's Ark's been found up in the mountains, really high up altitudes. The asteroid impacts that have wiped out, dinosaurs. And I mean, I know Michael, it's your favorite. Yeah, exactly, Michael. But there's been proven instances of that happening. And it scares me because what's our next one? Is the virus a way of wiping out a clean slate, or is something else happening?
Well, I mean, I think, like I was telling before, it can be like how you talked about the computer aspect of population control. So a virus is sent to take out all the bad stuff. I believe that a lot of things, of course, higher power. We could think we're in a simulation, and I mean, bits and pieces do make sense. And then there's people who, I personally believe in, Jesus and God and everything like that, where my thought process goes to, all right, well, somebody who has always been and always will be in the universe. If the universe itself is 13.8 billion years old, and we're just, let's say, 6,000 years old, or however long we are, 10,000 BC, and all this stuff. So, we were brought up in the last few thousand years or so to be made in His image, and go from there and try to have salvageable lifespans here. But we messed things up as human beings. We were given the power of choice, and we messed it up. So He's like, I'm just going to keep them here. It's one of my, 10 planets or whatever I've been creating and playing with. And that's why aliens probably are more superior.
You think that's why they watch and observe?
Could be. It's like, hey, let's see what we can do. There was something about that.
But I mean, everything though in this world though is so set by variables. Everything is a very controlled environment. Everything has rules, laws, and physics to everything that operates in it. I mean,
it's a system.
It's a system that is so thought out that one thing that goes off causes a whole other effect to it. I mean, that's why a lot of people come back to the conclusion that it has to be a simulation, because how could everything be so perfect? It's like 1 in a billion of a jillion that
I was gonna say,
Earth
there's only
has
1 in a billion chance that we're in reality. That's pretty much it. But going back to you, John, what were you saying?
No, I was going to say, Michael, to piggyback off of what you were talking about, though, about with one bad thing happens, let's use it as a computer aspect. All right, we're building computers and everything like that. If one bad thing happens, your whole thing kind of shuts down. And what happens to us? We use depression as an excuse. Well, we're completely shut down. Yeah, we're bogging down. We use depression as an excuse and everything like that. And it's awesome.
Well, if you stay up for 2 days straight, your body's going to shut down.
Yeah, so if we're running our computer too long, eventually
we overheat.
It's gonna overheat. Yeah. Well, that's the same thing. You stick a phone out in the sun, it's gonna get hot, right? You stick a human being outside, it's gonna get hot.
Yeah, true.
We're technically
then we start to slow down and we start to go crazy and hysteria and we're not ourselves no more.
Same thing with the computer. It starts to get slow. It gets run down. It starts not working. It starts freezing. It starts acting crazy. But as soon as you let it cool down again, it's like, oh, hey, what's up, man? I'm ready to work.
Now think about it this way too. Computers need to be upgraded every once in a while, right? Us as what we call human beings need to work on ourselves to be upgraded. Speaking of we're putting nothing but good stuff in our body. So if you put bad stuff in the computer, what's going to happen? It's going to be sluggish. It's going to be crappy. You're not going to really have much to go for it. But if we put healthy stuff in our body, starts working out, repeatedly doing something to benefit our nutrition and everything, we're going to be better running beings. Same thing like a computer. So
I wouldn't really call that us upgrading. I mean, that's more like our, getting the right fuel source for us to operate at our full capacity to it. I mean, more like the upgrading aspect is with the way our biology is more towards peer-to-peer learning, pretty much. Yeah, like I was saying, with education, pretty much, it's like from learning from one to another and actually retaining and maintaining, constructive learning and creating to keep going further.
Yeah, which I was getting at when I was going to say repeatedly, doing workouts, reading, and going above and beyond to learn something more. That's why people, I think, read the Bibles, because they want to learn.
Right, it's a book. So I feel like when it comes to libraries and stuff, it's like archives of information, right? So think of I don't know, I guess a computer with multiple hard drives, right? So I feel like we're like the little bots going in through the system and reaching and grabbing that information and taking it and then putting it back after we're done.
That's our way of uploading stuff to ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. We're uploading. Yeah, we're what if your eyes are just a way of uploading information? Like they're just a way to scan things
Yes.
into your
Yeah,
brain.
it's
I mean, Cody,
optical data and scanner. Yeah.
I mean, to get Cody in here, on this, I mean, Cody, how do you feel about us just being an actual robot, just getting feedback from the system we're in?
Well, in order for us to be robots, we need something to have plugged into our system. Our brain is our natural mainframe and also the motherboard, which controls our body in order to visualize and perceive all the tests and simulations that have been placed before us. Now, the thing is, if the data is correct that has been processed into the system server, another way to put it too is imagine creating more than one server and you have more than one civilizations that exist in the world. Now, in each of these servers, one out of all 5 has a glitch, but you don't know which one. Now, people are put randomly through each of these servers, say about 1.5 million. And the percentage of the downfall of that data server with glitch is 0.62783. And if one of these servers has that glitch, it could either alter the effects of the world, it could alter the effects of the robotic human that is processing all the data and perceiving it to the person or the user on the other end. Or if that data gets corrupted or hacked, that world around the 5th server is either going to be deleted or rebooted in order to recreate a new server.
So, do you feel like when we go to sleep, it's rebooting our server? Like our mind, our brain, our motherboard, we're getting a reboot? So we're getting to experience something different every day? Because if we never went to sleep, we couldn't absorb everything we see every day, right? We need somehow to save the information we've seen for it to open back up and receive more.
The thing is, though, when a person goes to sleep, yes, it is to conserve and refresh energy, but at the same time, the brain is always moving. The brain will never fall asleep. The body may sleep in order to recharge its battery, but the brain shall never fall asleep, not unless it were to die. And your brain is always moving because it has to reprocess all the things you've seen, all the things you experienced, and all the actions you took each day by day. And as you proceed, which thus creates as dreams inside your head, your brain will sometimes go what is called as random motion and pull out past memories when you were probably a child or a baby, parts of your cerebral cortex that you really can't remember, but you remember it because it was already in your dream.
So let me throw this out there then. Okay, so going into that,
pretty much then it's like when you're sleeping though, it's like your brain is automatically debugging itself. So you're like in a hibernate
cache pretty much.
Yeah, you just kind of hibernate whatever, and your brain don't really fully shut down, but it kind of is clearing the cache and kind of like making sense of everything to when you wake up the next morning, you might have new thoughts of that same thing that happened that you were stressed out about by the different things that stressed you out throughout that day that you didn't fully process everything yet. All your emotions finally processed and finalized throughout your sleep.
So here, let me throw this out there then. I don't know if you guys experienced this, but I have. Where I did something that day. Let's say I went to KFC and then I went to Walmart and then I did some other stuff. I drove around town for whatever else I need to do. But I go to bed and I start dreaming about that. It's in my dream. So my dream will be about something really wild, but then somehow it will be in my experience. So like in my dream, I'm eating KFC. Like, what? Like, it's so crazy. Like, I've had that happen to me where I'll relive the experiences in that day in my dream.
Exactly. I mean, I've had numerous experiences of the same thing when I would get super stressed out. Where that's the only time I usually get dreams like that is when I get really stressed out. When I used to be a cashier dealing with register, ringing people up nonstop on 20% off day, you just go crazy about wanting to scream and pull your hair out by the end of the damn day. And then you go home and you start dreaming and you're having dreams. You can't even sleep. You're in your sleep, but yet all of a sudden you start moving around. I wake up pretending that I'm scanning stuff and that I'm still ringing up customers. That's how ridiculous it is because your mind's still trying to process what the heck just happened today.
Right, but it interferes in your dream. It's so weird. Like I said, I was eating KFC, and then in my dream, I'm going. My dream. It was a crazy one, but long story short, in the middle of that dream, I'm going to KFC and eating. Like, what? Yeah. Like, why is that happening? Like, why am I eating inside my dream? I feel like I'm gonna get fat now.
I mean, is this just us, or has the same thing happened to you, John?
I'll use the aspect of my job, like you were talking, Michael, is spray lawns.
Spray the yard.
Yeah, so I constantly spraying whatever, and even though I don't work long days, so don't get that joke in there, Michael. I'll go ahead and say it now.
Part-timer.
Yeah, part-time.
Unemployed.
Unemployed, yes. So anyways, at that point in time, though, it was like, there's times where I would sit there and have a dream about a customer of mine, and I'm having problems with their lawn, but I'm like over here trying to fix it in my, I was like fixing it in my dream. Then I wake up, I was like, wait, I wasn't at work? Now I'm even more sad because I thought my day was already almost over. No,
You know, that's crazy though. That happens. Like, remember when you guys used to wake up going to school, be like, "Oh crap, I missed the bus," and it's Sunday morning.
Yeah, yes, exactly, 100%.
That's if you get me to go to school.
Okay, Michael. Some people don't like school. Some people don't like spraying yards. Okay, and some people don't like throwing coffee at customers.
So Cody, have you had the similar kind of experience too?
Yeah, I've had it since I was a little kid, and thus growing up to a man. My experiences, I can explain it in a scientific term and also a spiritual term.
Okay.
The spiritual term is you're pretty much astral projecting yourself into the future before all these things ever happen. Your mind is actually pushing a whole lot more forward than your body is. Your body moves at a similar time. Everybody moves at the same time that is set. But our mind moves at a faster time that is set. Our mind moves about 25 per second for every thought that we process in our brain. But when it comes to seeing what's going to happen next, our mind pretty much already visualizes what's going to happen next, and thus it is created in the dream as a drawback or as a loop.
Oh.
That's very interesting.
See, that, I mean, I don't know like how to think about that, because getting on the loop and everything, that's a little bit out there.
Do you have any thoughts about that, Mark?
I'm terribly sorry. Can you restate that?
I said, do you have any thoughts about that?
No, that's what I'm saying. Can you restate what you were saying?
Oh, no. Well, never mind. So do you have any more input then about that, John?
On that, honestly, that aspect, I really don't have much information to even comprehend what was just going on. So I don't want to put out false information for you.
Okay.
So I don't have an input on it. Unfortunately, I do not.
All right. So
I got a better example. Hold on.
Okay.
All right. Who likes the show and video game Dragon Ball Z?
I don't
really follow it anymore.
No.
Video games wise, Cody, I never liked the game. The show itself, yes, but I've never enjoyed a Dragon Ball Z game. I feel like the setup is crap. The way it's going is crap, and then it just it's unfortunate.
Listen, the last Dragon Ball Z game I played was on Game Boy, bro.
All right. Anyhow, though, is there a better way you can dumb this down to us, maybe?
There is an example in the show that I watched, and I thought it was very interesting how they displayed it. It was a man that could, which was called time step. He can move through time 2 seconds forward and anticipate every attack done by either fighter he was up against.
That's like Sherlock Holmes.
Okay, I know which one you're talking about. You're talking about the one where Goku's being trained by the god.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're talking. I know exactly who you're talking about.
That's a bit of a throwback, so it's nothing new. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, you ever watch Sherlock Holmes movie though, where he like anticipates every attack and knows where to hit, what to do at the time, like
my man Robert Downey Jr., bro.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
or even Doctor Strange, dude. Like, there's been countless movies on this stuff.
And
your mind always has to think ahead before your body does. It's also the same way it goes for Ultra Instinct. You have to anticipate before it ever happens.
Yeah, it's chess.
Now, speaking on that, Cody, was there any scenarios in your lifetime that's happened where you knew something? And I'll give a quick example of what I'm going to tell you. You knew something was going to happen before it happened. Mine would be in elementary school, roughly about 5th grade, maybe.
Going back to the kid days.
Yeah, there was a lady who tried to punch me.
What the hell?
Yeah, it's a friend. It was some weird thing. So she put 3 punches out there, and my hand caught each punch. So I moved my hands in the exact spot where her hands were punching, and it landed perfectly in my hand. And my buddy started saying, like, bro, how could you tell the future like that? It was just a little joke, but like sometimes things like that do happen where you go exactly where it's supposed to go.
Now,
Right, and that's
now
pretty
when
much
that
like
happened
learning
though,
karate and stuff.
now when that happened though, did it feel almost like time stopped around you? Like you kind of like
Yes, it went slow
knew-
motion.
Yeah, like you
Yeah.
were like vroom, vroom, vroom. Like that's where it's gonna go. Okay.
Yes.
It's just like when you're doing 200 miles an hour in your car. Or I did like 160. Regardless, it's like when you're going that fast, okay? You already know where to... I did go 160 miles an hour on I-95 at freaking midnight, okay? It was a blast. Well, long story short, I'm pretty sure John has hit the gas pedal once or twice. But when you're going that fast, you somehow know when to merge in that lane, when to get around that vehicle, when to go this way. Like, it's instant. It's so
Yes.
crazy to think about that. It's just like, think about racers. Like, it's almost proof there for simulation then, because their systems already know on, you know, the tracks, when to turn, when to stop, when to slow down, when to go.
Okay,
It's
that might
all-
work, but
it's
yet
all
people they still do have
nature.
crashes though. They still have crashes.
Yeah,
so
because
how do
some
you...
other person has a bug in their system and they
Exactly.
they infect them.
See, that's what I was gonna piggyback off that, Mark. You are correct. When you know what you're doing, you're able to go there, 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 and there. Now, one person messes you up by being off their own track. They screw up your whole process, and is why accidents happen.
Okay, I see.
Exactly, Michael.
Oh, okay, so now I see where you're cleaning up from. You're saying that everything is a process, but sometimes some processes fail, and because of that glitch of that failure, it causes everything else to fall apart, pretty much.
Right. So let's say I
Exactly.
have to dig a hole by noon, okay? I'm putting an irrigation system in, and then you come along and you break that pipe, and then you beat me over the head with a shovel. Guess what? My process is over.
But was I meant to do
Game
that?
Was I meant to do that? That's awesome.
You don't know though. That's what I'm saying. Like, but it
You know, was I
Let's say
programmed to
my
take you out
prerogative
because you were supposed to die that day,
Right.
or were you supposed to live that day? I mean, who really knows the difference?
I don't know, man. Just that little wink in the sky, man. You never know. Never know who's watching.
Well, it looks like though we are running out of time here. But is there any final thoughts from anybody, or anything else that you want to bring up real quick, so we can end the simulation here?
No, I
Good
think
to
I think
go.
we've pretty covered our bases today. I hope all of our listeners here really throw some comments in today on this subject. We want to hear from everyone.
We definitely want to hear their input, you know, and help us, you know, have ideas for upcoming topics and things like that. And as you kind of know, we kind of go over theories, opinions, technology, news, and beliefs. I mean, is there any input though that you want to say though to finish up, Cody?
I guess the only thing I have is for people not to think too hard on it. We're all moving at a type of direction. Either it's forward or it's backwards. But time is an illusion. In our world, we can make it however we want. It just depends on what you want the most.
You know, to throw in that subject really quick, time. Okay, I feel like we should control our time. Like, where did time come from, right? Someone threw it out there. Someone made it. Someone made us follow it. But realistically, who's telling you to follow it? Your job?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like time change here. I mean, that's not real. I mean, what kind of fake
No, it's
thing
not.
is this?
It's fake. Well, I think time in general is fake because if you look up at the sky, the sun's going to be there in the morning, it's going to be there at night, and above you, it's going to be noon. Okay? Whatever. But someone put that in place. We don't know who it was, or if we do, you know, I mean, I'm pretty sure we could Google it. I mean, we got Google these days.
Yeah.
Simulation, you know. So, access to information. But I really feel like time is fake. Like, I should tell my job, no, I feel like it's 2 o'clock right now. I don't think it's 12. It's 2 o'clock. Who says we're wrong?
Well, I mean, you know where they originated from. I mean, they came up with time using the sundial and finding out they're just trying to figure out when it's day and when it's night, and that's pretty much what we work our clock off of.
Yeah, but in general though, like, the only people telling you what time it is your job.
Pretty much, yes.
And then someone's telling them they have to be there. So it makes me think, if no one obeyed time, do you think we'll be as productive?
No, I mean without time. I mean, even chime in here, John. I mean, the whole world would be chaotic, wouldn't it? Without time. I mean,
Yes.
how would it even operate?
The world will not be able to operate without some set time, some set boundaries, and an idea of what to do at what point and everything.
Well,
You're
I mean, I
talking-
feel like I could just show up to work. It'd be a lot better if I just go on.
I mean, well, Mark, you don't go until 3 o'clock in the afternoon anyway. It's not like you have to get up
Right.
at 6 and be at work by 7, and drag out your morning.
Hey, he just
I
wishes
drag
he
out
was.
my afternoons.
Mark, if you want to be a salary, just go get a salary job like the rest of us, and then you can go pick your time like how me and John.
I don't
can.
work for free. Sorry.
No, salary is actually the way to go
You
because
could
I
just
work.
show up at the job wearing sunglasses, say, "Hey, boss man, I'm gonna go to the beach, but watch my desk for me."
Yeah, and you expect
that's
to
a
get
desk
paid
job.
at that day. But now we're definitely getting
Desk
completely off subject right
Yeah.
now, guys. So we are going to have to cut it off. Anybody else have anything else to say, as Michael had asked on the subject?
Pretty much one final thought I have here. Here's a mind blower. Here's like the lightning round. Ding, ding, ding. I want to ask all of you guys that. So what would you think though if all of a sudden you were told with proof of actual factual facts that we live in a simulation? How would you feel about that?
I would do
So
whatever I
are-
want.
I was going to say, are you stating at that point in time there's no God, there's no repercussion,
Yeah.
we're just in a simulation?
Pretty much, yeah. That you're in a simulation, and
That'd
that
be awful.
at the end of your set time deminer, they pretty much reset you. You know what I mean? It's and then you start over again, and you're in
Well, if that's
an
okay.
infinite loop.
They're just gonna
Oh,
reboot
jeez.
anyway.
Yeah, we're just going to be memory wiped at that point. He's like, hey, I'm going to tell you this stuff, and you're going to think
I
you're about
would
to have a great
accept it.
future.
I would
Just bash them couple
accept it.
against the head a
Oh,
couple.
hold on, guys. What is Cody saying?
I would accept it if someone said we're going to reset everything, and you're going to be reborn the same way that you
A
are,
virgin.
because we thought there was a glitch in the system. We thought your human emotions were false and fake. So
Ooh,
So you're
that's
telling me that they think that you're the glitch, so they're going to reset you. So you're an error in this now world.
right. So he's pretty much saying you're gonna be rebooted into something else.
It's kind of sad there, Cody. Why would you say that about yourself?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
If I knew for a fact this was a simulation, I would do everything in my power to find out who controls this simulation and then get the cheat codes going to where I can, do random things that are not bound by the physics of this world.
So Michael, you're leaning more towards a video game then,
An
like
RPG.
I am.
Yep. He's going to get all the mods. He's going to get the God mode.
The God mod.
I am now your admin. I own you. So
He has that
Michael, you're
little
just gonna
crown.
walk up to somebody on the street and be like, "I own you. I'm your god."
and, just,
You're my dad.
and then just like knock them out. Boom, right on the ground.
Just go to your customer and be like, "These are my weeds now. This is my yard, and I'm spraying my yard today, not yours."
Hell, I think I would just go out the next day and just spray them right in the face and just say, and just spray their whole house. Like, I don't care. This just doesn't even matter no more.
All right, Michael, we are running out of time, man. I am
Yeah,
sorry.
man.
Alright, though. Yep. So, well, thank you for watching or listening. I'm sorry, listening to our 2 cents.
Or watching, whatever.
Or watch it, listen, however you do it. You can follow us here on Spotify, Anchor. Go check out our channel on YouTube. We also got Instagram now. So
Yeah,
you can
don't
go check
forget
us out on
Instagram.
Instagram there. So it's at instagram.com/r2cents
Our 2 cents.
All
.podcast.
right,
Yep.
now may I chime in real quick?
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
listeners, if there's any way you can message Michael directly, let him know what you would like for us to talk about. That's all I have to say.
We want all of our new viewers to give us topics. We want you to be involved.
Yes.
We saw
And-
how this last podcast picked up traction, and we want you to be part of this.
And if you're lucky enough, Michael will bring you on for one special episode sometime this coming up month.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the more we keep involving ourselves and keep getting more people, I'll probably start doing maybe a giveaway here and there, just to spice up the cast a little bit.
I'll back you up on the giveaways. Let me know.
Oh snap! Here we go. So guys, listen into the next podcast. Give us those ideas. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Definitely check us out on Spotify. Mike here. He's always doing new updates for this page. He's doing new updates for videos. He's the guy to go to for that. We're just the pawns in this that's gonna make you excited to join the next podcast.
Whoa, hey, are we in Michael's simulation?
Wait a
Is he
minute.
controlling us?
I think I already got the God mod.
Oh no! Oh no! I think he ended the podcast. Oh no! He's ending me. I'm getting rebooted.
Alrighty, everybody. Until next time, keep listening.